I know. With all the things going on in the world, you're probably wondering, why am I taking the time to chime in on this Cardi B and Nicki Minaj beef? Well, I am. We all need a break from the wars going on in the Middle East to the government shutting down. We all need some escapism. So here we go. I want to ask the question, why are so many black women, particularly brown-skinned and dark-skinned black women, aligning themselves with Cardi B and defending Cardi B in this whole Nicki Minaj spat? And this question came up for me because after I saw the horrible tweets that Nicki Minaj and Cardi B exchanged, I then saw a lot of black women, particularly dark-skinned and brown-skinned black women, get online and just vehemently defend Cardi B. And even if you as a black woman think that Cardi B is right in this particular situation with Nicki Minaj, I'm still curious as to why you feel compelled to use your platform to get online to defend her. And here's why I'm asking that question. To begin, let me be clear, I am not a part of Barty Gang. I'm not a Cardi B hater. I'm not a Barb. None of that. My position is I think Cardi B and Nicki Minaj have both engaged in very mean-spirited behavior. They both have mean girl tendencies. I can cite plenty of examples to back up my assertion, but I think Nicki Minaj, when she made the diss track taunting Megan Thee Stallion, where she repeatedly made reference to her deceased mother, thought that was over the line and distasteful and mean-spirited. Cardi B, when she used the fact that a mother had lost her child to taunt her and to provoke her, I also thought that was mean-spirited. So I think both of these women have a propensity toward being just really vile and mean-spirited and saying disgusting things. So just want to be clear, not on Nicki's side, not on Cardi's side. But I am questioning why so many black women felt compelled to get online and use their platform to defend Cardi B, because Cardi B does have a documented history of calling black women monkeys and roaches. And for those of you who don't think insulting black people by calling them monkeys and roaches is racist, go ahead and click off, because none of this video is going to make sense to you if you don't understand the racist history of people comparing the physical appearance of black people to monkeys and calling black people roaches because you believe that darker skinned black people's complexion resembles that of a cockroach. So if that doesn't make sense to you, if you don't understand how the insult of calling a black person a roach or a monkey has racist undertones, click off, because this video is just not going to make any sense to you. But for those of you who understand why calling a black woman, particularly a darker skinned black woman, a monkey or a roach has some very racist undertones and can just be interpreted as being flat out racist, then help me to understand why so many dark skinned and brown skinned black women are aligning themselves with Cardi B and defending her in this particular situation. See, I know that some of you may say, well, yes, Cardi said that in the past, but in this particular situation with Nicki, I'm siding with her, and that's why so many women are defending her. Well, the thing is, I don't see that same thing happen in other communities once they have been insulted or someone has said something racially insensitive about them. I'll cite a couple examples to kind of drive home this point. You know, I've done previous videos about season 7 of Love Island. For those of you who followed Love Island, you know that one of the stars of the show, Sierra, was removed from the villa during season 7 of Love Island because she made some remarks that many people found offensive, particularly offensive to those of Asian descent. And even though Sierra apologized, what I didn't see was a ton of Asian women using their platforms to defend Sierra and to say, oh, you know, Sierra apologized, she didn't mean it in that way. I didn't see that. Even Asian content creators who said that they did accept her apology and maybe they did think that it was done out of ignorance, they really didn't take up a lot of time on their platform defending her at all. And even after, when Sierra has received a lot of online bullying and she's been harassed and just very nasty things have been said about her, I have not seen a lot of Asian women coming to her defense. And I think that part of that is because she said something that was deeply offensive and hurtful to their community and other people who just don't tolerate racism and Asian hate specifically. And so Asian women just don't feel compelled to use their platform to defend her. Like, they were offended, their community was offended, so they're kind of like, you know, even if she's in the right, I don't need to be the one defending her. Somebody else can defend her. She offended my community. We saw the same thing with Jamie Foxx. This was a while ago, but Jamie Foxx, he made a tweet and he was talking about betrayal. And he said something along the lines of like, well, they betrayed Jesus. And even though that is a just common expression, especially in black communities, and it's definitely not one rooted in or intended to be anti-Semitic, it's kind of a phrase that's used in black communities to communicate that, hey, if Jesus, someone who is believed to be God, can be betrayed by people who he did nothing but good things for and did nothing but bless, then anybody can be betrayed. right? It doesn't take too much for people to betray others. But there were Jewish people and members of the Jewish community who took that as being anti-Semitic. And even though Jamie Foxx apologized, and even though there were black creators who came out and tried to explain that, like, this is a phrase that's used in black communities, it's not rooted in it's not meant to be anti-Semitic, even though that was explained. And there were people from Jewish communities who, you know, understood that, like, okay, this is like a cultural difference. Again, I did not see a ton of Jewish influencers or those with a large platform coming out to defend Jamie Foxx. The position was pretty much, you know what, even though that wasn't his intent, it had a certain impact, and so other people can defend him. Like, we're not going to use our platform to defend him. And we see this often. And it makes sense. I don't hold it against the Jewish community. I don't hold it against the Asian community. When somebody says something that is offensive towards your ethnic group or racial group or community, even when maybe they warrant being defended, you don't have to be the one to defend them. Like, I completely understand that. Don't hold anything against communities that have not done it. But again, my question is, why, when it comes to black women, are we so different? Why, as black women, do we use our platform to defend people who have been blatantly offensive to us? The example I led with was Cardi B. Cardi B has called black women roaches, have called black women monkeys, and yet black women will break their necks making videos to defend her. I'll use the example of Chris Brown. Chris Brown has repeatedly been accused of being a colorist, someone who discriminates or promotes or condones the discrimination of darker skinned women. And yet darker skinned women continue to support and defend Chris Brown. Going back to Love Island, Amaya, she had tweets that were very colorist, where she was basically implying that darker skinned women are hypersexual and promiscuous, and I think one of the tweets flat out said they were hoes. And yet there are still black women who defend Amaya. And with Amaya, people will say, oh, those tweets were so old, they were years ago. Yet she never came out and apologized for them, and she never condemned them. And judging by her behavior on the show toward the darker skinned woman of Shelly and how she has behaved afterwards, aligning herself with another castmate who I would say expressed some anti-black behavior, I kind of question, well, has Amaya grown or not? Because nothing in her behavior would indicate to me that she doesn't still hold those colorist views. And she never came out and apologized or basically distanced herself from those social media posts. And yet and still, black women voted overwhelmingly for her, during Love Island, and they still defend her, and they still follow her, and they still support her. And it just doesn't make sense to me because I don't see other groups doing this. And so I'm asking the question, why? Sincerely, drop in the comments. Why do you think black women, specifically brown skin, darker skin black women, are okay using their platforms to defend people like Cardi B, Chris Brown, Amaya, and so many other people who have blatantly disrespected black women, specifically dark-skinned black women who have made colorist comments? Why? Why do you think that's the case when other demographics have shown they will not do the same? I think for me, and again, I want to hear from you all, drop in the comments as to why you think so. I think some of it has to do with low racial self-esteem. Just like when somebody has low self-esteem, maybe in a romantic relationship, they will choose to accept poor treatment because they don't really think that they are worth more. They don't think that they deserve more, that they can get more. And I think the same might be true here. There may be black women who have a low racial self-esteem who think that it's okay for them to be disrespected and spoken to in a degrading way simply because they're black women, or they're brown-skinned black women, or they're darker-skinned black women. That's my first take. Secondly, I think sometimes people in general will excuse poor behavior and bad character just because someone has a big personality, or they find them funny, charismatic, or talented. So in the case of Cardi B, I think people liked her latest album and they just decided, hey, I want to align with her. She has a funny, likable personality. Who cares if she's disrespected women who look like me and said things that I find to be racist? I'm still going to rock with her and defend her. I think in the case of Chris Brown, there are black women who think, he makes good music, so who cares if he's a colorist and he talks down, or who cares if he's a colorist and has repeatedly been accused of discriminating against darker skinned black women. I think that may be the second reason, even beyond low racial self-esteem that black women will choose to use their platform to defend these people. Because we see this done in so many arenas. We see it done in the entertainment industry, people supporting entertainers that they know have displayed bad character. We see it done with politics, people supporting individuals just because they got a big personality and I find them likable, even though their character is trash or their policies are harmful. But what bothers me is that instead of people just kind of owning their own biases and just owning how easily they can forget or look past bad character or poor behavior because somebody is likable, they'll make all kind of excuses for it. With Chris Brown, they'll say, oh, that was so long ago, when just recently with this current tour, he was accused of colorism and not allowing darker skinned women in the VIP section. So it actually wasn't that long ago, but they'll say, oh, it was long ago. Same thing with Cardi B. Oh, that was a while ago. And, she hasn't said anything recently. And they'll make all kind of excuses. And, oh, isn't Cardi B black? And it's like, well, if she is black, she just started claiming or identifying as black in recent years, because in old interviews by the interviewer Vlad, who you can find on YouTube, Cardi B makes the distinction between how she identifies and black people. So if Cardi B does identify as black, she just started to recently. But even if she does identify as black, you can be black and a colorist. So again, why are darker skinned black women defending a colorist? These are all questions that I'm asking. Why? Why does this happen? And I'm asking it because I really want black women to sit with it. And let me be clear, when it comes to the whole Nicki Minaj and Cardi B thing, I'm not saying that Cardi B was wrong in this situation or Cardi B was right in this situation. What I am saying is that there's always the option to just remain silent, to keep it cute and sit it out. Like the examples that I used before with Sierra from Love Island, there was plenty of people within the Asian community who maybe accepted her apology, who thought, okay, we can move on. All this bullying of her, harassing of her online isn't really warranted. But many of them just chose, I'm going to sit it out. She said something that was deeply hurtful and offensive to my community, so somebody else can defend her. It's not my job to run to her defense, especially since she was so offensive to me. So even with this whole Nicki Minaj and Cardi B conflict, you may be somebody like me who's like, I don't really side with either one of these women. And I think Nicki definitely said some things that were wrong and Cardi responded in a wrong way. Guess what? You can just remain silent. You don't have to defend a woman who has used racist insults, such as calling black women monkeys and roaches. You don't have to defend her. Same thing with a Chris Brown. I don't ever really speak on Chris Brown because I'm never going to use my platform to defend someone who I believe is a colorist, based off of the accusations that have been brought against him. Not gonna do it. But I'm curious as to why black women don't just keep it cute and remain silent like other communities do, but they feel compelled to use the platforms they've built to put out commentary and think pieces defending people who have shown not only would they never defend them, but they also would take joy and delight in insulting them. So I don't know. If you can make sense of it, drop it down in the comments.